I hope, yes, I hope that all of the sisters are doing good, inshallah, and I hope that your health is going good and everything around you and your life is going good as well, inshallah. So today we are going to have lesson number 13th of Qaida sessions, and before the session proceeds, I would just like to say that obviously I did, gave you an exercise to practice as well. And that was related to the previous topic that we covered, which was the topic of sukoon. And I mentioned specifically that this topic is quite important. You will see today as well the role of that topic. Okay, so that topic was very important, and it had like so many little things attached to it. So I said that you're supposed to practice and exercise on your own as well. Covering all of the qualities and all of the little details that I mentioned yesterday. So if you have practiced and if you would like to just recite that exercise, like just recite the whole exercise to me. If you would like to do that, you can just make yourself mentally prepared for that. For I would just say that if anyone is interested in reciting, they can just do that at the end of the session, so that I may may be able to uh, I may be able to understand, how your progress is going, or if you have understood the lesson or not. Okay, so you can just uh, you know take part in that, inshallah. So for today's session, we are going to cover another topic, a new topic. Okay, the topic is tanween, right? Yesterday we did sukoon. Or you can say jazm to that as well. Today we are going to cover tanween and okay, I'm really sorry for that. Just I think we just discussed this tanween as well. At the end, I discussed this tanween for I guess 5 minutes or something. So yes, we discussed in the tanween as well that how the sakin is playing its role, right? For today's lesson, we're going to cover the shadda. Shadda, which in English means doubling. We will see that what is doubled here. Okay, so shadda is the topic we'll discuss today, and again, just like the tanween, there is a role of sakin again, the sukoon again here in this shadda as well, in this rule of shadda as well. Let's move on further and let's discuss what tashdid actually is. So tashdid, as I mentioned, this is also called, shadda, tashdid, or the a word that has, or the letter that has a tashdid on it, it is also called mushaddad. So all of these three terms are just used interchangeably: tashdid, shadda, and mushaddad letter. So what it is, I mentioned that this means doubling. Okay, so this is like like a small w kind of symbol on a letter. You will see this kind of symbol. Let's take any letter, for example ba letter here, and you can place this symbol on top of it. So what happens is that just like I told you, in sakin, that for sakin means like silent, right? The vowelless sound, you can say. So sakin, it was, for it to be like for the letter that has a sakin, for that letter to be articulated, we are supposed to attach that, with the previous letter, with the sound of the previous letter. So for the case of the shdid again here, so, even if you see a ba letter with a tashdid symbol on top of it, you cannot just articulate this letter here on its own, right? If this kind of a W symbol is on top of the ba, there isn't any way for us to articulate it. So again, just in the same manner with the sukoon, we also need any letter before this tashdid on the letter. Before this, we need a letter with the basic symbols of fatha, dhamma, and kasra as well, right? So for the ba letter with the tashdid, we will have, we will need any letter before that as for us to join this with the previous one. And that is what it means, that the sound will be doubled here. Shadda, the sound will be doubled here. It will be twice the sound, okay, of the same letter. So when any letter has this tashdid symbol, it means that the sound of this letter will be articulated two times, right? Of this same ba letter will be articulated two times. And how are we supposed to articulate it is that we are supposed to articulate it by joining this with the previous letter. For example, even though I have written ba here, and on top of that there is a tashdid, but still, on top of that, even though I have placed a fatha here as well in this case, still we are not able to articulate it, right? This is not like ba sound here. Ba with a fatha, that was a ba sound, but here there is a tashdid as well. So in order to articulate this tashdid, we are supposed to join a letter previous to it, and again, just like the sukoon, let's assume this letter to be hamza, right? And we will inshallah cover the exercise as well. And in all of the exercise, in the whole of exercise, you will find that we have like just attached a hamza before that, right? You will find examples with all of the other letters as well. Okay, so if we have articulated, if we have attached Hamza before Bash Tashdid here, we are supposed to articulate it like Abba, Abba, right? This is how I'm articulated. You can hear that the sound of the Ba letter, Ab, one time, and then Ba, Abba, two times. This is the way we articulate this. Okay, so I just mentioned at the very start that, again, this lesson of tashdid has something to do with sakin again, right? So, okay, so I mentioned that again, this tashdid has something to do with sakin. So what happens is that, let's, write this tashdid in a simplified way. What happens in this tashdid is that in tashdid symbol, there are two symbols, you can say. There are two symbols which make up the tashdid. Okay, so what are those symbols? The first symbol is supposed to be a sakin, and the second symbol can be from fatha, dhamma, or kasra, right? So if let's take any letter ba, for tashdid, for tashdid means that in this tashdid there is a sakin with that letter, and there is the same letter with a fatha, dhamma, or kasra symbol. So if we are taking this example of abba here, ba with a tashdid and a fatha on top of it, we can just write in a simplified way like this as well. That ba letter has a sakin, right? The first ba is supposed to be sakin. In any other case as well, whenever there is going to be tashdid, the first letter, that first letter is supposed to be having a sakin, and then the same letter is going to have the symbol either on top with a fatha, or if the example is with a kasra, you will find kasra, or you can have a dhamma on top of that as well, right? So we can write this ba with a tashdid and fatha on top of this like this as well. Ba with a sakin, and plus you can say ba with a fatha. Here I've written because there was a fatha. If there would have been abbi, I would have written ba with a kasra here. So when I am articulating this, ab, the first was hamza with a ba sakin, ab, and the second sound this tashdid makes is of ba fatha, ba. So as a whole, this is abba, abba. That is how you find a sakin hidden here in this one as well, right? So this is why I mentioned that the topic of sukoon, or jazm, is very important. That because even though uh, the name of the sukoon in English means that this is silent, this is vowelless, you can say like resting, at a resting position, something is at a resting position. So still, this sakin is not at a resting position when it comes to the role it has in all of these definitions that we are doing these days. The sakin, it is just, you can just remember the sakin or sukoon in a manner that this is working silently. Sakin or sukoon is working silently. In all of the cases you would see the sakin was there in Tanween as well, right? It was hidden in Tanween, so it's like kind of working silently. And again, in case of Shadda, the Sakin is, you see that there is a hidden Sakin here as well. And, we discussed that in Kalkala letters, the role of Sakin as well. So Sakin has a lot many rules, and in the next topic inshallah we will cover, you will see that there again is a sakin. So I just specifically mentioned that there are a lot of mistakes that beginners make with regards to the sakin. They just skip sakin so many times. I'll just inshallah tell you how they do that. Okay, so for now you are supposed to just see that Shadda, simply in a simplified way, Shadda is this W kind of symbol above a letter, which means that that letter we are supposed to, articulate twice. We are supposed to double the sound of that letter. And I told you that in this double sound, you can just ask someone that, what is that double sound? In that double sound, it comprises of the first letter, right? It comprises the first letter with a sakin on top of it, and the next letter can have any haraka or fatha, dhamma or kasra. That is the way we are articulate. The first articulation will be the letter with a sakin, and the second will be that same letter with any symbol of fatha, dhamma or kasra. Okay, so let's move forward. I hope that you understand this till now. So I have written this again that in Shadda, whenever you see this symbol, there is supposed to be one second letter and one mutaharik letter. Mutaharik means haraka, one letter with a haraka. So both will be the same letters. And again, I've mentioned the example of noon here that, we are supposed to attach any letter before. So we have attached a hamza here. And, let's take a noon sakin plus noon fatha here. This as a whole will make a noon tashteed on top of it with a fatha. So we say anna, right? So we say one noon sound, and the second will be na, anna, and you see a sakin here on noon here, which is like a hidden sakin in this tashdid as well. So, for tashdid, I have mentioned that for the tashdid, we articulate it by attaching it to the previous letter. Why that happens is because of the reason, the first one is going to be in tashdid, the first one is always going to be a sakin sound of that letter. So, this was actually the thing that we did in the topic of sakin, that for sakin to articulate, because, this is like a vowel-less symbol, so we attach this to the previous letter. So that is, just because of the same logic, you can say, just because of the same reasoning. Okay, let's move on to this exercise. Okay, inshallah. So in all of these, in exercise, whenever you see any letter with a tashdid on top of it, you are supposed to just imagine a hidden sakin in this. Okay, and you just articulate the letter with the tashdid two times, right? Twice, and say abba, abba, abbi, abbu, atta, atti, attu. Okay, the sound should not be prolonged. Okay, it should not be elongated than this. The way I'm just doing it, we should not just say abba. The ba should not be elongated, or you cannot say abba. Okay, the sound is like abba, abbi. Okay, assa, assi, assu, aja. This is, the same exercise. Yeah, let's take aha, ahi, ahu, aho, ahi, ahu, adda, addi, addu, azza, azzi, azu, right? The two times. Az one time, zu two times. Az one time, the second one, zu for two times. So azu. Okay. Okay, so the next one is arra, arri, arru. I told you that whenever ra has a fatha on top of it, we articulate that ra heavy. And when ra has a kasra below it, we articulate it light. You should be knowing that what do I mean by heavy and light, okay? So arra, full mouth, arri, arru. Same as the case with dhamma, we are making it heavy. Azza, azzi, azzu, assa, assi, assu, asha, ashi, ashu, making it heavy, aswa, asli, sli, right? Asli, asli, الضو الضا الضي الضو. Again a heavy letter. Then again ta letter, which is again heavy. الطا الطي الطو الضا الضي الضو. This is again a heavy letter. Tip of the tongue touches the like edges or tip of our upper teeth, and we make this heavy and say الضا الضي الضو. Okay. أع أعي. Okay, this, for this you are supposed to just practice this specifically. Why? Because the two letters of Hamza and Ain, their articulation points are near. The Hamza letter comes from the lower portion of the throat, and the Ain letter comes from the middle portion of our throat. So the articulation points are both the letters of throat, so they are very near. You are supposed to be making this conscious transition from Hamza to Ain, from lower portion of the throat to middle portion of the throat, and say, making the first sound of Hamza as a and the second as a. So we say a and a from the throat. A, 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 a. The next one is with a ghain, agha, aghi, aghu. The next one is afa, afi, afu. A heavy letter again, qaf, aqqa, aqi, aqu. Okay, you're not supposed to make the light calf sound by saying akka, akki, akku. That is not the case. Okay, so we say aqqa, aqi, aqu. Okay, moving on to the last part of it, akka, akki, akku. The light one here. Allah, Ali, Allu. Okay. Amma. For this, specifically you are supposed to remember something. So let me just, kind of mark this portion as well so that you get to remember these two letters here. This one and this one here again. So the meme letter and noon letter. So for these two letters specifically, you are supposed to remember a very, very important thing and a very easy thing as well, inshallah. So when we are articulating the meme with the tashdid on top of it, the symbol, what do? We just stay for a bit and make a nasal sound as well. And we say I stayed on meme, right? I just did not say amma, ammi, ammu, right? I just gave time to the meme because meme is a letter from, a nasalized letter, you can say. And same is the case with the next letter, noon, as well. So we say amma, ammi, ammu, right? What I'm doing here is that I'm, staying on the sound of meme letter, right? Staying on the sound of the letter which has a tashdid here, which is meme here. So I stay here on the meme letter and make a nasal sound, which is, in terminology of tajweed called ghunna. Ghunna, okay? Ghunna means that we stay on this letter with the tashdid of meme and noon for a bit. You can say a second or two, like 2 seconds, and you make a nasalized sound like amma. Okay. Also, another important thing for this again is that you're not supposed to extend or prolong the sound of this hamza here by saying amma. The at the start, the Hamza sound have just a fatha here. So that will be just a sound. We are not supposed to just extend the sound and say amma. By gunna and making a nasal sound, I am mentioning the meme and noon letter. So I'm doing that on meme and the next one on noon. I'm saying and then making a nasal sound on meme. Um, just quickly joining. Ammi, ammu. And same is the case with the noon letter with the tashdid on top of it. And we say anna, anni, annu. Okay, so again, we're not supposed to say anna. At the end, the sound of na should not be elongated again. We just stay here at the articulation point of noon and we do an. Like our tongue is just there at the articulation point of noon, which is behind the upper teeth. An, like the above palate, right? Tip of the tongue touches the above palate, and so the tongue just keeps on touching the above palate for a second or two, and that is how we say anna, anni, annu. Okay, and same is the case awwa, awwi, awwu. We're not supposed to just say casually like avva, avvi, avvu, right? For the vowel, shape our lips round, and for these two letters, again, there is something you need to remember, which is the vowel letter here, and the next one, which is like ya letter here, this ya letter here. Okay, so these two remembers, in for the meme and noon, I made you remember that we do gunna on these letters, right? We make a nasal sound. But for this wow and ya, we kind of exaggerate, or you can say we just articulate these with like proper being conscious of their articulation points. So for wow, we just properly say ow one time, the one vowel ow, and the second one wa, awa. We just don't say awa, awa. Not quickly. Just give the time to articulation of wow and say awa. For example, we have a word which is like awala, which means one. Awala, right? So awi, awu, and aha, ahi, ahu, right? And the last one is ayya, ayi, ayu. Right, we again do the same with just the way we did wow. The articulation should be prominent, should be clear, and we say ayya, ayi, ayu. We just don't say ayya, ayi, ayu. Okay, not like this. Ayya, ayi, ayu. Okay, like this. Let's just, I would just say the first two rules of this, and you can, inshallah, practice the exercise on your own as well, inshallah. Okay. So the first word here is hababa. Hab. One time. The ba letter here is a tashdid, so we say hab. And then ba. Habba. Hababa. Hababa. The next in habbatin. Habbatin. يتبع يتا ya and ta letter. So for the tashdid letter, we first join that with the previous letter one time, and then we join that, we just say that sound. For one time, we join the sound with the previous letter, and for the second time, we just say that letter, uh, say that letter one more time. So we say yatta, yat one time, yat joining ya with ta, yat, and then saying ta. يتبع يت يتقه يتقه. Okay, here I'm joining the sound with the next qaf as well. Why? Because qaf has a sakin. So that is why I'm supposed to do this. يتقه يتقه. And يبث يبث. Okay, the next one is sujjadan. Sujjadan. Jim letter with the tashdid. Sujjadan. أخرت أخرت. يتأخر يتأخر. خا letters with tashdid here. يقدر يقدر. يتقدم يتقدم. And just let me say these quickly. مؤذن محرر معرة معرة. يتنزل تيسر خشعا غصة. يحض يحض فضة فضة تطلع ta. The first letter here is ta, the next one is a heavy ta. Ta and the heavy ta. تطلع تطلع. Okay, so this is the exercise I did. You have this remaining portion here as well. You can inshallah practice this on your own as well. Okay, and you can just let me hear your exercise as well. You can just send me your recording as well. Okay, I can just give the feedback on there as well. Okay, so that is the way we covered, this Shraddha topic. We have like 4 minutes. If we can just, get a few points of the next topic, that would be great. Why? Because that topic again is related somewhat to, like not somewhat, but actually very much to the Sakin, the Sukoon topic again. So this topic next is letters of elongation. Letters of elongation, which are called harufe madda. Huruf means letters and madda means elongation or stretching something. So harufe madda means letters of elongation. So inshallah we'll see that what are these letters. The letters of elongation are three in number. These are Aleph letter, Ya letter, and Waw letter. For the first letter of Aleph, I specifically mentioned in the very, very first lesson, if I remember correctly, that Aleph is actually a letter of elongation, right? It is like specifically just a letter of elongation, unlike the Hamza here, right? By making a difference with Hamza, we discussed this. So then two letters which are other than this are Ya letter and Waw letter. What happens on these letters of elongation is that obviously elongations means that we are stretching something. So we stretch our sound for two counts. For two counts. So what do I mean by two counts is that the way we articulate the harakas, the three basic harakas of fatha, dhamma, and kasra, we articulate them for like 2 seconds, you can say. Okay, we articulate them for 2 seconds, you can say, or you can just say for one count. Like you just say a ba ta tha, like that. A ba ta tha. Just like you can just say like 2 seconds you can count, or some people might think it's 1 second, but it's actually like 2 seconds, or I would just say like one count. So what happens is that you can just take your clenched fist, okay? All of the fingers, like clenched fist, and what you do is that you just take out each finger at a time, like 1, 2, 3, the way you do counting on your fingers, like 1, 2, 3, like the way children do, by opening each finger at a time from your clenched fist, right? 1, 2, 3. So when we are doing the normal harakas of fatha, dhamma, and kasra, we just do that for like a, ba, ta. We just open a finger at a time for those. Just one finger opens and we say a, ba, ta, tha. Okay. So when, or b, t, or boo, tu, all of these three symbols. What happens in case of these maddas is that it kind of doubles than that. Okay. Letters of elongation are articulated or stretched double than the normal harakas. So I have mentioned here that we stretch these for two counts. If you take those as one count, a, ba, ta, if that is one count, so the sounds of these will be a, or e, oo, like double than that. I'm not saying a, e, oo. I'm saying a, e, oo, like the two times. Okay, so these are kind of two times than the normal harakas, and their sound is kind of same, right? The sound of fatha was a, so the sound of the first letter of elongation of alif will be a. So when you say ba, ba, right? When this has a madda, we say ba, we stretch this. When this has a kasra, we stretch like b, b. Okay, I just, written it incorrectly here. This was supposed to be b here, and this was supposed to be boo here. Okay, so for the the third one of oo, we stretch this for double than the normal haraka of dhamma. Okay, so these three letters of elongation of alif, ya, and waw, which are alif madda, ya madda, waw madda. We stretch these double as to that of the normal harakas of fatha, dhamma, and kasra. Okay, so what happens when do we know that this for the case of alif we will know that this is a letter of elongation, like we would be sure of that. But for the case of ya and wow, we know that these letters they come, except as a letter of elongation as well, right? They are the actual letters as well with their proper sound as well, right? Their proper articulation points and everything. So for these two letters, how do we know that here the ya is as a letter of elongation or ya is as a letter, just other letter? Or wow is as a letter of elongation or the normal letter. So for this, you will have to remember this harakas, the symbols that are there. For the alif madda means letter of elongation of alif. Alif madda, the alif will have a sakin, alif will have a sakin. I mentioned that sometimes when there isn't any symbol on any letter, again, that means that it is a sakin there. It is vowelless there, it is silent there. So when there is a letter of elongation of alif, which is called alif madda, that will be alif with a sakin, and on the previous letter you will find a fatha. Then we will say that okay, here alif madda is happening. Let's take the example of talib. This word here you see an alif attached to the ta letter. Alif is here. Alif here is sakin, is jazm, it's sukoon, it's vowelless, it's silent. Even though I haven't placed the symbol of this sakin on top of it, still, I mentioned that this is sakin here. So when alif is sakin and on the previous letter I mentioned there is supposed to be fatha on ta letter, there is fatha here. So we say ta, talib. I'm stretching the sound of pa here for two counts because there is alif madda in here. So rather than saying pa, talib, talib, right? I'm saying talib, pa. The sound is elongated for like the two times. Pa. The simple one was pa. The stretched one is pa, talib, right? So the next one is example okay, so the next one is how you should be knowing that this is ya madda happening here and not the simple madda, right? Not the simple letter. So for ya letter, ya will be sakin, and previous to it on the previous letter there will be a kasra. Yeah, right? So let's take the example of word nadhirun. Nadhirun. The sound here, like you see a ya letter here with two dots below, right? This is ya here. Ya is a sakin, and on the previous letter of dal, there is a kasra. So we say a kind of prolonged sound of e. So this is a ya madda here. How would you know this ya madda is that there is a ya sakin, and on the previous letter there is a sakin. The third one is waw madda, right? So for waw madda, waw will be sakin, and on the previous letter there will be a dhamma. Okay, so let's take the example huban, huban. Again, I'm stretching the sound of ha with the dhamma and saying hu for two counts and ban, huban. Okay, so again there is a waw madda. How do I know? Because waw is sakin here. Waw does not have any symbol of fatha, dhamma or kasra. So there is supposed to be a silent a symbol here. Okay, and on the previous letter of ha there is a dhamma. So the rule says that there is a waw sakin and the previous letter there is a dhamma. This is called waw madda. We are making an elongation of the letter of waw here and making a prolonged sound of oo for two counts. Okay, we will inshallah just continue this topic in the next session, inshallah. For now, we have discussed, about this topic is that letters of elongation, huruf-e madda are three in number, which are alif, ya, and waw. We articulate these letters, we elongate or stretch these letters for two counts, which is normal than the way we do with the simple harakas of fatha, dhamma, and kasra. And for the for their in order to just pinpoint these when you're reciting, in order to just look for these, is that you're supposed to remember this, that all of these three letters they have something to do with sakin, I told you, earlier as well, right? The letters of elongation have something to do with sakin again. That these three letters will be, for them to be letters of elongation, all of these three are supposed to be in a sakin state, right? The sakin is on alif here, the sakin is on there, on ya as well, the sakin is on waw here as well. Just the difference is that before the alif there is a fatha symbol, right? Before alif is a fatha symbol. You can just remember in this manner as well, because you know the alif, for alif the sound that is kind of made is a sound, a, right? And you know the sound of the fatha symbol is also a. So they both are kind of similar thing, right? They both are this both support each other in this thing. So the sound they make up together is a prolonged sound of a for two counts. For the ya with the sakin, we need a ya kind of sound here. So before ya sakin, we have a kasra sound, e, ya sound. Ya is kind of similar to the e sound of kasra, e. So that makes it double sound of two counts for ya madda. So for wow letter, you see wa. And the sound that is like near to it is of a dhamma, right? Dhamma. Before wow sakin, we will have a dhamma on the previous letter for it to make like a doubled or prolonged sound of oo here. So for now, this is what you just remember with regards to the articulation of the letters of elongation. Inshallah, we'll cover this in the next session as well.